Hey everybody, I hope everyone is enjoying their April. As you can see, the snow is slowly disappearing. I've chopped off half of my hair and my seeds have come in. So there's a lot of change happening around here. I want to take a moment to show you the results of what I put in motion last fall. As you can see, my front garden is completely devoid of snow. And you can now see the top layer of the shredded leaves that I put on top of my garden, along with some partially decomposed compost. Right now it looks like the leaves haven't decomposed because you're looking at the top layer. But once I dig down below the top layer of leaves, you'll see that the bottom layers have started decomposing. So the first sign that there was some decomposition happening here is that I only had to pull back a very thin layer of leaves. In the fall, I did put quite a heavy layer of leaves down here. So the fact that it's very thin means that some of this lovely black compost was part of the leaf layer. So here's another area of the garden. I'll just pull back the top layer of leaves and you'll see it pulls away really easily, and as we keep going there's these are still recognizable as pieces of leaf, but as you can see they are partially decomposed. And as you can see, some of that is a really lovely kind of black. This is a shade of black that a lot of gardeners love to see because it means that there is some good healthy compost here. And here's some actual compost. You can see that it has completely decomposed into what looks like dirt. It's actually starting to rain, so that's great for the continued decomposition of my garden. So I'm going to leave that to it and get back to my seeds. I was originally going to film outside because it's actually a decent temperature, but unfortunately it started raining and so it chased me inside. The last couple days it has been raining, which isn't so nice for people, but is great for plants because even though it's still very early spring and some of the frost hasn't even left the ground, the water that is getting into the ground is sort of preparing the soil to be nice and moist so that when the frost does completely leave and we start planting plants into it, we don't have to worry about immediately making sure that there's enough water because the soil will already have a good moisture level. As I mentioned, my seeds did come in the mail for me this past week. This is my first year ordering seeds from somewhere else. Normally I get them from one of the Seedy Saturday or Seedy Sunday events that occurs in my area. But at the end of last year I discovered a really cool website called rareseeds.com. By the way, this isn't sponsored or anything. The website is rareseeds.com, but the actual name of the company is called Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. The thing that really drew me to that website was that at the top they claim to have 1,800 varieties. The second thing that drew me to the website was that under each cultivar they would have a picture, they would have the description, but then they would also have consumer reviews. So the website actually had the functionality that a person could sign in, could say what area they were from, and then could leave a review on that particular variety. Not only is this nice to find out what other people thought of the taste of the different varieties, but it was also great for finding out in what areas of the country these seeds would succeed in. Now, of course, a lot of the customers of Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds reside in different parts of the United States, but occasionally there were some people from Canada, even from places like the UK or Thailand, that would review the products. And so I specifically looked for varieties that had done well in Canada, specifically Ontario. And in the absence of reviewers from Canada, I simply looked for a region of the US that was close enough to my area in terms of climate and zone. So I've waited a couple of days to open up my package of seeds because I wanted to make sure that I got it on camera so that I could share this experience with you guys. First thing I notice is that it comes in a padded envelope. You see there is bubble wrap on the inside. Really nice of them to do because it is traveling a long way and it's good to have the extra protection. One thing that I immediately appreciate about these seeds is that they have very cute packaging. Here is one of them. This is my Genovese basil. Normally I don't buy seeds for herbs because I really only need 1 or 2 herb plants for my garden, and getting a packet of seeds just seems like a waste. But in terms of basil, I love to cook with basil, and I also like to have it throughout my garden because it helps with different pests. So that's the seed packet. It's black with the white writing at the top and the picture of the plant in the middle here. Not all of them are black, as you'll see with my next packet, which is arugula. It's white. At the top it says greens, and then below greens it says arugula, and then there is this lovely picture right here. The rest of the packets seem to follow in the footsteps of those first two. They are either black or white, and they either have an actual photo in the middle or they have a hand painted or hand drawn picture of the plant in the middle. Here I have another variety of basil. This is a Siam Queen Thai basil. Again, I love basil and I love Thai and Vietnamese cooking, which uses Thai basil. So this is a black giant tomato. This wasn't actually my first choice for tomato, but my first choice ended up being sold out by the time I was going to check out my shopping cart, because it turns out that Baker Creek heirloom seeds is actually extremely popular, which I'm not really surprised about, but it was a little frustrating because I really wanted that type of tomato. But after perusing the different reviews, I do feel that this black giant tomato is a good choice. I'm excited to see what it produces because the fruits of this plant are actually supposed to be anywhere between 6 and 14 ounces. This is a Chinese 5-color pepper. I actually agonized over my decision on what type of variety of hot pepper I was going to get because I love jalapeno peppers. That's what I've grown often in the past. But this year I was starting to think, maybe it's time to try something a little different. I'll give you a close-up of the picture on this packet because it is really neat. As you can see, the peppers shown are in 5 different colors. As the peppers ripen, they'll change colors, and those color changes will also correspond with a change in the heat level of the peppers. So I know for sure that they start out purple, and that's the mildest version of the pepper, and then they change, I believe, white to yellow to orange, and then finally to red, which is the spiciest stage of the pepper. The purple pepper is supposedly a little bit spicier than jalapeno, so I'm interested to try it. These are Cantonais red core carrots. These are Vietnamese mint. Again, I love to cook Vietnamese and Thai food. So both the Vietnamese mint and the Thai basil will add a lot of extra sort of Asian flair to any Vietnamese or Thai dishes. Here I have some petunias. Of course, petunias don't produce anything edible, but they are a valuable addition to the garden because they're a companion plant for many plant species, meaning that they help control pests by attracting various predatory insects, and also they attract various pollinating insects which pollinate my vegetables and lead to actual production. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but I believe this is a Weissbehaart tomato. It's a German variety, as you can probably tell by the name. I love yellow and orange cherry tomatoes, so I'm excited to see what happens with this. So this is a variety of bok choy called Ching Chang bok choy. Whereas a lot of bok choy has that sort of white stem with the green leaves, this variety just produces green leaves, but the reviews were really good for it, so I'm very interested in trying this in my salads. Another oriental vegetable, this is the Chinese mosaic long bean. Now, you might have heard of yard-long beans, asparagus beans. They're beans that can reach up to a foot long, maybe even longer. Although I have heard that you don't want them to be longer because then they get a little tough. So I would probably err on harvesting when it's under 10 inches or so. Again, these had great reviews, so I'm really looking forward to trying them. So this is another herb, summer savory. I don't use a lot of summer savory in cooking, but it is an herb that's supposed to really help control pest populations in my garden. So I'm going to be growing a few of these and planting them in various locations of my garden. And who knows, maybe I'll experiment with using it in my cooking, and by the end of the summer, I'll love summer savory. These are Mammoth melting sugar peas. I love peas because I can grow them vertically on a trellis and they produce lots of food. So my garden is a high production garden, meaning I'm trying to produce as much food as I can in that particular space. And so anything that I can grow vertically, like the beans that I've already shown, peas, there'll be many other ones that I'll eventually show that can climb up a trellis and therefore produce a lot of food for the amount of square footage that it takes up in my garden. This is something very interesting. This is called winter rye, and I'm not actually growing it for the rye. I'm growing it as a cover crop, meaning that in the fall, once I have completely removed all my other plants from the garden, I'll sow this and let it grow. And so what will happen is the frost will come and kill the plants, but the dead plant matter will stay as basically a mat, pretty much like the layer of shredded leaves that I used as a mulch last fall. And so when the snow comes, it'll just sort of compress the dead plant matter, and by the time the snow goes in the spring, all of the dead plant matter will start actively decomposing, and hopefully by the time I'm planting my crop next year, this cover crop will have created a nice fertile soil for me to plant into. Hollow crown parsnips. I really enjoy parsnips, and parsnips are something that are ready just as fall is turning into winter, so I'll be able to store that in my basement and have fresh vegetables throughout the winter. These are Shungiku edible chrysanthemums. Apparently the leaves as well as the flowers are edible, so I thought it would be interesting to try these in a salad. These are a variety of beets called cylindrical beets. I'll show you a close-up of the picture. As you can see, the beets are cylindrical as opposed to spherical. I decided to go with the cylindrical beets because I like to make beet and goat cheese towers, where I'll have a slice of beet with some goat cheese and another slice of beet and some goat cheese, and on and on. And it really would be nice to be able to have uniformly sized slices for that tower. Another green to go in my green garden out back. This is radicchio. Another green called Aurora Mixed Orac. Apparently this is highly nutritious. This is Henderson's Black Valentine bean. As I mentioned, beans are one of the vegetables that I can grow vertically, and so I can get a lot of production in a small amount of square footage. Another green called golden purslane. I was very intrigued to read that golden purslane actually has omega-3 fatty acids in it. These are Laurentian rutabaga. I really enjoy rutabaga and it's very nutritious for you. Now this picture shows it as being yellow with a purple top. From what I've heard, it's not quite as yellow as in the picture, but I still thought it looked really interesting. More greens for my greens garden. This is a lettuce mix called Rocky Top, and apparently this was also the top seller lettuce mix at Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, so I figured it's probably going to be good. This is really neat. This is called Attila Strawberry. I'll show you a close-up. As you can see in this picture, the plant is in a planter and there are runners going down from the planter. This is an alpine strawberry, meaning these strawberries are smaller, but they can also do better in more northern climates and can also tolerate a little more shade than normal strawberries. In addition to having this in my own garden, I'm going to be growing some plants for both of my grandmothers who are in retirement homes, and I'm going to put them in a planter that is either out on a balcony or near a window, and hopefully they'll be able to enjoy strawberries. These are lychee tomatoes. These are very interesting. They grow almost like a tomatillo would, where the fruit is in a husk, but the husk actually has spines on it, so you have to be really careful when you're harvesting. I figure this would probably be a great plant to put in the perimeter so that even if deer get past my animal chasers, they will hopefully be deterred by the spiny plants. These are nasturtiums. These are another flower that act as a great companion plant for a lot of different vegetable plants, simply by attracting good insects, possibly repelling bad insects. And the other neat thing about nasturtium is that you can actually eat the leaves and the flowers. So I'm going to be trying that this summer. Next I have Burmese okra. One of the things you have to watch for with okra is that some of them have spines, which can make it irritating to harvest them. So I got myself a spineless variety. This next plant is really interesting. It's called Hamburg rooted parsley, and it's a variety of parsley that not only grows the leaves that have the classic parsley taste, but they also have a large root that is somewhat reminiscent of parsnip. So because I like parsnip, I thought it would be very interesting to try this rooted parsley. Here is the sweet bell pepper variety that I decided to go with. This is called King of the North, and that name comes from the fact that it is supposed to do better in more northern climates, and the reviews seemed to confirm this, so I decided to try it. Here I have a Tokyo long white onion, which is actually a variety of green onion. And green onions tend to tolerate shade, so since I do have a lot of shady area on my property, I definitely have a lot of space for these green onions. This is a variety of red onion called Southport Red Globe. The reason I actually chose this specific variety was because there was a review from someone in Montreal, which is actually a little more northeast of where I live, but they had a very good review on it, so I figured it will probably do well in my climate as well. This is a variety of broccoli called Calabrese Green sprouting. Last summer I had a lot of success with my broccoli plants. They produced really nice heads, but then after the main head was harvested, they only sprouted maybe 2 or 3 small heads. So what this variety is supposed to do is, after the main head is harvested, I should be able to get a number of smaller heads that will have sprouted to the side of where the main head was. Next, I have a variety of cucumber called the Muncher Cucumber. Baker Creek has many different varieties of cucumber, so I perused the reviews and eventually decided on the Muncher Cucumber for a couple different reasons. Definitely part of it was the fact that it got a lot of positive reviews, but additionally it was called burpless, which means that it lacks the components of the cucumber that other cucumbers have that can cause you to have a lot of burps. Additionally, whereas some other cucumber varieties can have some little spines on the peel that you have to get rid of, this one doesn't, which means that I can go ahead and slice it up and eat it without having to worry about the peel being left on. These are Gypsy Sunshine Marigolds. I love marigolds in my garden because, again, they're another flower that really helps attract both beneficial insects as well as repel pests that I don't want in my garden. Also, they are just beautiful to look at, so it's always nice to have a few marigolds sort of dispersed among my other vegetable plants. This is something that I'm super excited about. This is called the Blacktail Mountain Watermelon. Now, normally I wouldn't attempt to grow watermelon in my climate because I am in a zone 4B climate, and watermelons typically require 100 to 110 days to reach maturity. This Blacktail Mountain watermelon is one of a few watermelon varieties that have actually been bred to reach maturity in a shorter time period. Specifically, this watermelon variety will mature in 70 days, so I have a lot more hope for it being successful in my garden than I would for any other watermelon variety. Additionally, the watermelons are much smaller, which means that I have a better chance of being able to grow this up a trellis and only having to make a small hammock to hold the fruits that will develop. Again, the fact that I can grow this vertically will mean that I can produce more food with a smaller amount of garden square footage. Lastly, I have my free gift that Baker Creek has sent me. Apparently, they always send a free gift with every order that you might make. This particular free gift is called the Lemon Queen Sunflower. I'm not sure how many sunflowers I will put in my garden because they tend to be quite tall and I already have enough problems with shade, but I could see myself trying 1 or 2, so thank you for this free gift. So those were all of my seeds that I ordered from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. I do have one more seed packet that should be coming in actually from eBay. It's a type of zucchini that is very rare called long green trailing zucchini and is really only found in Europe, like around the UK, France. I found this one in France, and so I should be getting it soon. It's a vining zucchini that I can grow up a trellis. Most zucchini varieties available in North America are bush zucchini, but as part of my attempts to get a lot of production from my garden, I want a zucchini variety that will grow up a trellis. Other than those seeds, I will be planting some potatoes, which don't involve seeds, they involve seed potatoes. And then I will also be planting some sweet potatoes from what's called sweet potato slips, which is when part of the sweet potato is put in water and some sprouts actually grow from the sweet potato. Once they get to be a certain height, you break them off the sweet potato, put them in some water so that they develop roots, and then you can then plant that into the ground. So I've ordered those from a local greenhouse, and so I should be getting them around the time that I'll be planting them. I did get 10, and I got a variety of different types of sweet potatoes, so it should be fun to be able to plant them and then dig them up in later in the summer and see what I have. So thank you for watching and checking out my seeds with me. I'm really excited and I can't wait to plant them and then show you guys later in the summer what I get from them. If you liked this video, please hit like, subscribe, and share with a friend if you think that they'll enjoy this. I'll definitely be putting up a bunch more videos, hopefully both in my Gardening 101 playlist as well as just following along with my progress as I plant my gardens. Once again, I hope you guys are having a wonderful April, and I wish you happy gardening. See ya!